Good morning, everybody. The microphone is working. Welcome back. The third day of DevConf is about to start. I hope you are enjoying the conference and that you enjoyed the party yesterday. Before we start a little bit of housekeeping. Please, when you leave the room, come to the room. Be careful about slamming the door. It's really, really distracting. And also respect the full sign. When you see a sign on the door that says it's full, well, surprisingly, it means the room is full. Please don't enter. We'll be happy if you tweet or if you write blog post. So go ahead to do that. And today there's a grand finale, a competition for cool prizes in room D105 at 4:30. With this, let me pass the floor to Fabian Arrotin with his talk, CentOS Infra Revealed. All yours.
Thank you. Hopefully the microphone is working for me. Yeah? Or I can scream, anyway. So, good morning, everybody. I was not expecting many people in the room on a Sunday morning for the first time slot after the party. So, but here we go. First thing, who am I? For people not knowing me, just quick summary. I'm a Belgian guy, meaning that obviously you can speak to me about Belgian beer, French or Belgian fries, or chocolates if you want, but that's a little bit off topic, obviously. Apart from that, I'm sysadmin by choice because I really like what I'm doing. I'm sysadmin for the CentOS infrastructure. I'm a CentOS user, I would say even abuser for a long time. And I'm a member from the CentOS project as well. So what do we want to cover today? A little bit of history first, where we are coming from, and hopefully where we are going to. A quick overview of the infrastructure and the way we are doing more and more interaction with other distributions, like obviously Fedora, because we share the same roots. And so working with the Fedora infrastructure team is really something we are doing at the moment. So, back a long time ago, when there was the big split between Red Enterprise Linux and Fedora, some people said that, oh, there is suddenly a gap that some people have to fill. And so more than 10 years ago, some people decide somewhere in a basement just to say, oh, let's start something for fun. Let's try to rebuild the social PM. And it was just a few private nodes, right? So KB is just at the back. He would know everything about the machine that was maybe running in his garage or basement just to do that, and Johnny in the US. So it was really, really, really small. And I don't think a lot of people were expecting the project to become so successful at the time. But it was something homemade. It was really just people doing that on their spare time because they like it. But we had all our jobs, and we had just some free or spare time to spend on that. But there was suddenly a need for automation because everything was running from almost one or two machines. Like the main website was running on the machine, the forums, the main mirror, everything was on single machine. Then people from the community, and that's the beauty of the things, the C in CentOS is community, right? So people from community said, we like you because we use it. So what can we do to help? Well, we need machine and bandwidth. So we had one machine here, one machine there, one machine there, another machine there, and it's, well, the microphone is scratching a little bit. It's my, okay. Let's try to not move. That will be difficult. Yeah, I don't know. Let me just try to. That's Sunday morning, take it easy. Here we go. Hopefully. No, not better. I can scream instead if needed, but let's try not to move. So the current situation is that we are just eating our own dog food, so we are still running CentOS 5, 6, or 7. But in fact, the CentOS 5 node, there is only one node at the moment still running CentOS 5, which is a Xendom 0, hosting some virtual machine, so we just need to move that somewhere else. But we still have some machine running CentOS 6, and obviously the new machine that were given to us, were donated to us, are running CentOS 7. We started to reinstall because some machines were donated almost 10 years ago. So we started with the machine running CentOS 3, then reinstall in CentOS 4, then in 5, and we just continuously reinstalling those machines. Because we still, you would be surprised how many Pentium 4 we still have in production at the moment behind mirror.centos.org with 1 gig on RAM only and a single SATA disk. So it's always fun to deal with those machines. So those machines at the moment, we can't even reinstall those machines with CentOS 7. Yeah, let's switch. Yeah, maybe. Otherwise it will be annoying. Oh, 1, 2, 1, 2. So back to the thing, it was still running on a lot of donated machine everywhere. So we had most of the machine coming from company in the US, some in Europe, and one machine in Brazil, one machine in Malaysia, one machine in Australia, something like that. So we were just, in fact, reinventing the cloud before it was a thing, in the sense that we had suddenly to, automate a lot of things because we had no time to work on that. So Puppet was still a thing. So I even remember in 2007 at FOSDEM, we had Luke Kennis in the CentOS distro dev room just giving a talk about Puppet, which was beginning to start to be a thing. So we came with, I migrate from Puppet to Puppet. I think I was migrating from Puppet 0 to the 3 to multiple version, and at the moment we're running 3.6. The thing we did was to switch from plain Puppet mastery. How many people are using Puppet in the room? Oh, not. So the rest is using Ansible maybe? Yeah, or Salt or whatever you want. So we switched from plain Puppet mastery to Puppet and Foreman. We use Foreman as an external node classifier. It was mainly for a Puppet dashboard. And then we are just separating every variable from the modules, so everything is coming from Foreman. And still, we started to use a little bit of Ansible for specific ad hoc tasks between machines, or even, but Brian will explain that in the next talk, in the CI environment. About monitoring, because when you have machine running, all around the world, you still need to do some checking. So we decided a long time ago to use Zabbix. The main reason was that, KB and myself, we were using Zabbix for our daily job. So we just decided to use it because it fits the bill. So we have Zabbix agents install all the nodes. The only problem we had was that we had to use Zabbix proxy. If you are familiar with Zabbix, you know that you have latency issue. So we have to use Zabbix proxy sometimes to get information from those machines, because the topology of the network is geo distributed. One thing we do, we are still doing is for DNS, nothing fancy, we are just using bind, like almost everybody does, except that we have geo redirection. So we have a delegation for some of the nodes, some of the record. Like if you try to hit mirror.centos.org or msync.centos.org, you will be redirected to your geo IP, the nearest machine for your location. So that's transparent for a user, but that's really something efficient at the moment. And even if people are not really supposed to hit those machines quite a lot, because normally you just hit mirror list and you download the package from your mirror, one of the external mirror. Some people are just using plain mirror.centos.org, and we have on average 400 requests per second for those DNS record. We obviously have some other things. Let me just put some notes. Yeah, that's better like this, for me at least. We have other machine, obviously website, forums, bug tracker, mailing list, and torrent seeder for people willing to use the torrent tracker. One of the nodes that is really crucial for us and also for you is the Msync role. That's how we distribute all the updates and all the new release to external mirror. We have at the moment 69 donated machines dedicated for that role. We are just using a pyramidal setup, where from the master we just distribute it to the level 0, the ring 0, and then the other nodes. From a statistic point of view, when we're pushing new release, the aggregated value for those nodes is actually pushing to 4 gigabits per second during 2, 3, or 4 days, depending. And they are just used to seed all the external mirror. At the moment, we have something like more than 600 external mirror that most of the people are using, not counting the people using an internal mirror for production, obviously. So we have, as I said, we have a lot of machines in the US, a few in Europe, but some parts of the world are not really well covered. Like, I think we have just one machine in South America, and the machine is in Brazil. The machine has not a good connectivity, but on the other hand, internal to the country, that machine has a really good speed. So it's really quite slow for that machine to get everything from us. But when the machine has everything, it serves all the other machines in South America. Same like Malaysia. You know, we are in 2016, but we still have some machine connected at 10 megabits per second. It's not even limited at the router. I mean, really connected at 10 megabits if you look at ATH2 on the machine, because it's really limited at the switch level. So why do we want to keep those machines? For the same reason. Because 10 megabits per second is really slow here in Europe, but in Malaysia it's still a thing to have a machine in the data center connected at 10 megabits per second. So it's quite a nightmare for us to manage to have that machine up to date, to distribute the update to the other machine, but it's still something that when you are a user, you're happy to face that machine in that region. How do we verify that? We have a process. We are not using Mirror Manager. A lot of people are expecting us to run Mirror Manager, which we don't at the moment. That's something we can eventually do in the future, but if we speak to the Fedora people to see if we have the same problem to solve. But at the moment, we have a process that checks in loop every mirror for every release, every repository, and also the ISO file are checked per country. Meaning that if you, well, that's transparent, but we have no base URL in the yum repo file, that's, the mirror list thing. So you are, once again, redirected to your nearest mirror. And same for ISO redirect. If you want just to download an ISO file from us, you're also redirected transparently, and it's check in loop. The fun begins with the donate machine, because everything is fine. A company said, oh, I want to give you a machine because I like you. And obviously, I like free gifts, so I accept the machine. And almost all the machines are running on those donated machines. But it's sometimes, well, we had to migrate the role multiple times because you receive a machine, but you don't know if the machine will stay for 1 month, 1 year, or 10 years. So we just have to automate everything because we will switch the role. Sometimes we had to, well, there is a hardware issue because machine is maybe 10 years. We had for example, in 2 months' time, we had to migrate the wiki. That's just a fact from last year. We had to migrate the wiki instance 3 times in a 2 months window because the machine was moving from one DC to another, or the machine disappeared, or had an hardware issue. That was really some of the problem we are facing with. Same for the mailing list. We had to automate all everything because you don't know when it happened. The machine can just disappear. And the main reason why a machine disappears is not hardware issue. It's just that the company doesn't exist anymore. That's really something we had a lot. You have bankrupt, or even something more fun. You have company A giving you a machine. Someone inside of company A give you a machine. The guy left. Management is not aware. Company B acquires company A. And sometimes company C acquires company B. And suddenly you have no contact anymore with the people giving you the machine. The machine still runs. Sometimes they are just, well, they do an inventory and they say, what the hell is the machine in the DC? So they have a name. And we have notification. If they are smart enough, we have notification that machine, well, we are not interested in sponsoring you anymore, so we don't care. Sometimes they don't. So we just discovered with Zabbix that machine is not reachable, and we try to contact the people. Nobody's answering the phone or something like that. So it happens to us quite a lot. The more interesting thing is that when you know that the company went bankrupt, but the machine is still running. So we don't know who paid the bills, but we have machine in DC still running. We just cross the finger to hope that there will be no electricity outage in the DC or hardware issue, because we know that we'll lose the machine, but machines still run. And that scares me when the machine runs without any inventory. But that's a fun part of managing those machines. So what we do with those donated machines, the first thing we do is obviously just reinstalling those machines. Because I don't know if you have already tried to use a dedicated donated server, well, a dedicated server somewhere. Sometimes they are smart. They provide you Fedora, Ubuntu, CentOS image, official one. Sometimes it's a bastardized version of CentOS. Like, I don't want to name OVH, which I did, but they just have a different kernel they force you to use with GRSec instead of SLNX, for example. Some other DC guys are just injecting directly their own SSH key into root account or things like that. So I'm a lazy guy. I don't want to audit a machine. I just reinstall it directly. So how do we do that? Because obviously we have it's a single machine in a DC. So we just, with a simple script, we just reinstall the machine. So we just on the machine, as long as we have SSH connection, we just download the kernel, the initrd. We just install KExec tool. We inject the kickstart. I guess that a lot of, you are all familiar with kickstart. We inject the kickstart in the initRD, and we just chain and we reboot on the kernel, the machine auto reinstall itself without any IPMI or VGA connection at all. When the machine reboots, Puppet is called for the certificates, and it starts configuring the machine for us. Meaning it's just allowing certain IP to just SSH into, etc. What we do is that we start small, because the first thing we have to do is try to build a relationship with the company willing to sponsor us. Because as I said, sometimes you don't know the company, so we have some random guy somewhere willing to sponsor a project, so we have a machine. We start with something really non-crucial, like we have I mentioned the Msync role, so mirror machine. We start with that because what can happen? There is no data, there is nothing in it except package, which are GPG sign, right? So at the moment we start with something like that. And what we do usually is that we just, before putting the machine officially into the mirror network or into production for something else, we just test their support response time. Because some DC are really fast, it's cheap, it's free, right? It's donated, so there is no SLA on the machine. But still, some people like us and so are giving answer to tickets we create quite fast. Sometimes it can take days or weeks because of that donated machine. So we just start with something really small, and with the time, we know if we can trust those people or not, because they've proven that we can use their services. So that's. Sometimes we are lucky in the sense that they want just to sponsorize to sponsor two machines in the same DC, which is because we are not the traditional on-premise thing. We have machine everywhere. So sometimes we have two machines. So we can do some kind of failover thing, like for the DNS at the moment. We have machine where we can just switch from one to the other if needed. And we know those people, so we know that we can use their support. Apart from those machines, that people are facing for Mirror, we have also other resources. Like in a DC at the moment, we have 4 physical nodes that we use for what we call the DevCloud. So people willing to work in a special interest group in CentOS can abuse resource in that DevCloud environment. It's at the moment still based on OpenNebula, so people can just spin a VM quite easily. And we are just using Gluster with InfiniBand for the storage part of that. If you are interested in details why we had to switch to InfiniBand instead of using standard Ethernet, feel free to ask me at the end of the presentation. It's running at the moment quite fast, and we are even thinking about expanding that because we have more and more people interested in abusing that environment. Apart from that, when I mentioned donated machine, I should say that obviously 2 years ago something happened with Red Hat. I guess that people are aware of that. So the biggest sponsor at the moment is in fact Red Hat, because they sponsored some IBM Blade Center in IBM facility, in a Red Hat facility. So we have our dedicated build farm, the Koji build farm, running in that environment. And it's basically at the moment just, it was only Intel x86-64, but we added recently ARM 64 as well, builder in that environment. And in a remote environment, we have also PPC64 and PPC64 LE, because probably you are aware that we release support for those architecture in December. Same for ARM HFP, so ARM v7. If you have a Raspberry Pi 2, feel free to abuse CentOS 7 on it. It works. And next to that build environment, really next close, because it's in the same rack, we have our CI environment set up. If you are interested in the CI environment, Brian will explain all the details about how you can use it if you are a member of a project in a special interest group. At the moment, it's Jenkins driven. If you just visit https ci.centos.org, you will recognize automatically Jenkins UI. We have some chassis that we are using with compute node inside. So it's a 256 compute node that we can abuse for that. We do bare metal for CI. Brian will explain that, but we do bare metal because we want to be as close as possible to what happened in reality. Because we have RDO people building on top of CI, so on top of CBS. So if, for example, you just want to yum install OpenStack, CentOS release OpenStack, you can. It's built on CentOS, for CentOS, and distributed through the mirror. They want obviously to test the whole thing, so they want bare metal, because then they can simulate everything on top, including the VM. And nested VM is, yeah, maybe not that good. In the back, it's just Ansible that is provisioning and reinstalling all the machine, all the physical machine, as fast as possible. So, the roadmap for the CentOS Infra is extending the authentication, because Puppet takes care of the accounts of all the machines at the moment for the Infra team. But still, we add more and more people interested in contributing to the CentOS ecosystem, so including for the special interest group. So they needed access to the Koji build farm. Instead of using our own, well, it was a custom-made CA script and wrapper script, we decided to move to something that a lot of Fedora packages know already. So it's we have accounts.centos.org, which is backed by FAS, but not the Fedora FAS. That's the FAS backend, but on our own system. There is no federation at the moment between the two. Something that can be maybe done in the future, we don't know. We obviously want to start to migrate more and more web services to that centralized authentication, because at the moment the forum are still using their own local database for user, etc. What we want to do also is have faster update going to Mirror, because we are faced with an interesting problem. We have a lot of machines with limited capacity, and we have more and more package and update of package and cloud image. And that it starts to become a problem for us on those donated machines. So we are just rethinking the way we will distribute all the machine through some kind of caching and CDN for the infra, still based on the donated machine. And some kind of message bus, we are still to think about that. If you have idea, feel free to share about how we can speed up communication with the external mirror. That's basically already the end of my talk. So if you have question, feel free to raise your hand. Yes? Not reintroduction. No. Well, Yeah, so the question is, do you run some kind of intrusion detection system? More or less, well, through the audit, because if we see that, for example, it happens to us that some people in the DC just had to do maintenance on the machine without notification for us. So what we just do is just reinstall the machine completely automatically. Because everything is automated, right? So it just after the time is just needed for the machine just to sync everything back from another machine nearby. So we consider those machines like, pets and cattle. So those machines are cattle. We have the machine, we are happy. The machine is gone, nobody regrets it, right? It's not like if we were losing the main machine like git.centOS, which is not running on donated machine, obviously. But for those kind of machine, no, we don't. We just reinstall the machine directly. Other question? Yes?
You mentioned that you use both Puppet as well as
Mm-hmm.
What part of Puppet would you use? Why?
That's an interesting question. Puppet, because you described the state of a machine, and we started with Puppet a long time ago, so we continue to use Puppet for that reason. But when you want to do some orchestration, Puppet doesn't do that. The Puppet master decompiles a catalog, and it's just for that node. If you want that node to interact with another one, then begins the fun. Especially, for example, consider the main issue that I had myself with Puppet and, for example, the configuration management in general is the fact that you don't have a clear view between Puppet master D and the monitoring system. The only way to configure the Zabbix interface, maybe, for us, directly is to use something else that, traditional way of Puppet of doing things is you use exported resource, and then you reuse all those exported resources on the monitoring machine to just apply all those configuration. Sometimes it's really crazy because the more nodes you have, the biggest the catalogs it is, and the biggest time, sometimes it's 30, 35 minutes just to verify that nothing changed and that they are monitoring the correct thing. So I'm just using a kind of workaround at the moment. I said that we are using Foreman. In Foreman they have hooks. So it's event driven. So if I update or create or delete a host at Foreman, I have a script that says I have a matching table said, oh, that Puppet roles as that monitoring template in Zabbix. So if a machine is changed with added or remove role, it automatically uses the hooks to just use the Zabbix API to add or remove the roles at Zabbix. And using the same thing in both ways, if Zabbix say that, oh, that machine is gone, for example, it reflects that directly through the Foreman API. The way I use Ansible is like, how do you install Puppet, for example? You have to start from somewhere. So at the moment, it's fun that you can just use an Ansible playbook to bootstrap Puppet itself, or even set up Puppet master D. So, and some ad hoc tasks like we abuse Ansible for like, as I said, reinstalling the machine automatically with the Jinja2 thing for the kickstart in the C environment. The machine are reinstalled on average 100 times per day. That was maybe what we did. So it just, it's transparent in the backend. Puppet doesn't do that. So, that's really different. If you like, you can use the two. If you can discuss with the Foreman guys. They just did the integration with Ansible at the moment, meaning that you can just use, you can still continue to use Foreman as external node classifier for Puppet, but at the same time you can have an inventory script to use Ansible and point to exactly the same inventory. And you can even, with the callback plugin, have all the report from all the Ansible playbook calls directly back into Foreman as well, like you do for Puppet. It's quite cool if you want to use it. So, other question? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, I mentioned Gluster and InfiniBand. Why? We had a space constraint in the rack where those machines are hosted. So it's just a 4-machine setup at the moment for the DevCloud. And we needed a shared storage. So at the moment, every machine is at the same time hypervisor and Gluster storage and client. We started with dedicated gigabit Ethernet connection for the storage. But then I realized something like, I don't know if people have played with Gluster in the room. No? Gluster is really damn easy to set up. But it's so easy to set up that it hides some problem. Something you have to understand with Gluster is that, well, it's turning now into a Gluster session, but I don't mind. If you are running a distributed and replicated setup, your cluster, in fact, it's just a metadata server, meaning that if you want to replicate it, it's the client's responsibility to send the data twice. So if you are just doing that over Ethernet, your bandwidth is automatically divided by 2. And can you imagine the fact that your virtual machine is, in fact, the I/O in the virtual machine is really bad. So we try to optimize that just by switching to InfiniBand. If you look on eBay, you can find 20 gigabit or 40 gigabit InfiniBand for almost nothing those days, including for HBA. And instead, you can use InfiniBand in 2 ways, like the traditional RDMA thing, or you can just use that with IP over InfiniBand. So you treat your InfiniBand HBA like a normal 20 gigabit Ethernet card, in fact. And the only thing you can do to speed up that is, well, it's the same for storage. If you are using iSCSI, you know that if you want to tune iSCSI, you are going to jumbo frame. So you can do the same in InfiniBand. You have connected mode versus datagram mode. You switch from one to the other. It's more or less the same thing as jumbo frame. Once you do that, and if you are using Gluster for your virtual machine, you just need also to switch to libgf API and not using Fuse, please, because Fuse is really, really everything but speed. So switch to that, and then everything starts to fly again. So, but the reason why you decided Gluster was, we had no central storage, and we need a solution on. So using the machine both as hypervisor and storage node. Does that answer the question? Okay. Other question, maybe? Yeah. We can discuss about that later, maybe. But yeah, some people sometimes try strange things. It's true. But yeah, we can discuss about that if you want after. That will be, yeah, I will not have time enough maybe to discuss that. So. But you still need a pair of gloves. Another question, last chance to win a pair of gloves. CentOS gloves. No question? Okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah. You want gloves, right? Okay. Yeah. Well, the torrent for the YUM operation, no, but that would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, well, we discussed with those guys because, as said, we have also CentOS 7 ARM HFP, which is there, but we decided to go with ARM HFP, so ARM v7. So our target was not ARM v6, so it only works on Raspberry Pi 2 and Qubit and all the other board, but not Raspberry Pi 1. Red Sleeve guy decided to be compatible with their own legacy thing, meaning that they were targeting ARM v5, which is really older. It still runs on Raspberry Pi 1. So yeah, if they want to join the fun and benefit automatically from our mirror, they can just be part of CentOS and build ARM. Well, DNF doesn't exist at the moment in RHEL 7, but yeah, you said torrent. Yeah, for the YUM part, I don't think that you will. Well, YUM itself has plugins, so maybe if someone has a crazy idea like that, but I don't think that it exists at the moment, and that would be quite interesting to YUM install thing and starting a torrent client in the back. Yeah, that means that you have maybe a big mirror. Well, no, you have no mirror and you have a big infra because a whole set of package for Red Sleeve maybe something. Well, for CentOS 7 is the same thing. It's not that big. And if it's starting to become big, only if you have a lot of release in parallel and a lot of architecture. So pretty sure that they have some mirror. To answer your question, they have some. So I don't think that using Torrent would be good for that. Just to distribute to other machine, but not for the client part. You still have some gloves. No question? Thank you.
It's really weird.
I don't know what happened. It was just crashing the whole time.
Yeah, I think the problem is with the cables. I don't know what the best strategy is.
Do you have any plan to use containers instead of virtual machines? No?
At the moment, the override of distributing the container will be more than just, running a mobile machine. And why would you want to have, for example, from a mobile machine, why would you want to run a container? In fact, we were just using all the storage on the machine and all the bandwidth. It's just, a simple process on the machine. So there is no real advantage about it. That's something we have to think about.
Yeah.
But not at the moment.
Yeah.
Because
Here's some more for you. Take the sticker. Another one. Please put your slides on this flash drive. You can do it now if you have time. I think it might be better.
I heard like story that CentOS is so detailed just because he's so blind and he's never experienced it.
It's really simple.
Thanks.
The talk is supposed to finish at 10:30. I'll show you a sign like 10 minutes left. Then it's up to you how to handle it. Okay. You can hand out the scarves for questions. You have 3. Okay. You can just give away. When somebody asks questions, please repeat it for the for the camera in a mic. And you might want to test the mic so that this is where you muted. Okay. And unmuted, but we had some problems, so we're not going to use this one. It's up to you. Sure. I think it's fine. It's just sometimes it just goes and it's weird. I can do this one. More comfortable for you. Okay. Great. Okay. Thanks.
As CentOS infrastructure, do you want me to say anything at the beginning before we do that, or we will press up?